Welcome to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert, and this is the truth about Khizr Khan and Humayun Khan. During the Democratic National Convention, the Democratic Party invited the father of Humayun Khan, a captain in the military, to speak at the convention. Khan made a series of statements on Trump, his experience immigrating to America, and the 2016 election. He said he has undivided loyalty to our country. Khan said he believed in American democracy. And Khan said if it was up to Donald Trump, his son would have never been in America. He said Donald Trump consistently smears the character of Muslims, and went on to say Donald Trump disrespects other minorities, women, judges, even his own party leadership. He alleged that Trump wants to build walls and ban us, meaning Muslims, from this country. And at the end of his speech, he requested Americans, Muslims, and all immigrants honor the death of his son by voting for Hillary Clinton. And soon after, Trump responded in an interview on CNN with George Stephanopoulos. Stephanopoulos said, he says you wouldn't have even let his son into America. Trump. He doesn't know that. I saw him. He was, very emotional and probably looked like a nice guy to me. His wife, if you look at his wife, she was standing there. She had nothing to say. Maybe she wasn't allowed to have anything to say. You tell me. But plenty of people have written that she was extremely quiet and looked like she had nothing to say. A lot of people have said that. Personally, I watched him and I wish him the best of luck. Stephanopoulos, what would you say to his father? Trump. We've had a lot of problems with radical Islamic terrorism. That's what I'd say. We have a lot of problems. Where you look at San Bernardino, where you look at Orlando, you look at the World Trade Center, you look at many different things. You look at what happened to the priests over the weekend in Paris, where his throat was cut. An 85-year-old beloved Catholic priest. You look at what happened in Nice, France a couple weeks ago. I'd say you have to look at that because it's not good. Khan then went on CNN to attack Trump. He said, two things are absolutely necessary in any leader or any person that aspires, wishes to be a leader. That is moral compass, and second is empathy. This candidate, Donald Trump, is void of both traits that are necessary for the stewardship of this country. He went on, responding to Trump's remark about his wife. He had to take that shot at her. This is height of ignorance. This is why I showed him that Constitution. Had he read that, he would see what the status of Gold Star Mother holds in this nation. This country holds such a person in the highest regards. He has no knowledge, no awareness. This is height of his ignorance. She is ill. She had high blood pressure. People that know her looked at her face and she said, I may fall off the stage. And I told her, you have to assemble yourself and stand for the beauty of this tribute that is being paid. This person, Donald Trump, is totally incapable of empathy, and I want his family to counsel him. Now, let's take a look at some of these statements. Khan alleges Trump would not have let his son into the country. Well, Trump recently said in an interview with his running mate Mike Pence on 60 Minutes that he would not temporarily cease all Muslim immigration as he had previously suggested, but rather temporarily end all immigration from countries affected by radical Islamic terrorism. This could potentially include France, Germany, and other European countries. And from the start, Trump has stressed that the ban on Muslim immigration is temporary and would only continue until the threat of radical Islamic terrorism was dealt with. And by the way, this is not new. FDR did the same thing with Germany and Japan. Carter did the same thing with Middle Eastern countries. This is a standard practice the federal government employs during times of war. From the Institute of American History. The day after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Roosevelt suspended naturalization proceedings for Italian, German, and Japanese immigrants, required them to register, restricted their mobility, and prohibited them from owning items that might be used for sabotage, such as cameras and shortwave radios. The curfews on Italian immigrants were lifted in October 1942 on Columbus Day. So, not anything new, it's only that it's a Republican instead of a Democrat. And Khan made a great show of saying he believed in American democracy and suggested Trump never read the Constitution. Okay, so can a man who believes that Sharia law should be the law of the land really say he supports the Constitution? From Breitbart.com. Notwithstanding his war hero son's genuinely patriotic example, Khizr Khan has published papers supporting the supremacy of Islamic law over man-made Western law, including the very Constitution he championed in his Democratic National Convention speech attacking GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump. In 1983, for example, Khan wrote a glowing review of a book compiled from a seminar held in Kuwait called Human Rights in Islam, in which he singles out for praise the keynote address of fellow Pakistani Ala K. Brahi, a pro-jihad Islamic jurist who was one of the closest advisors to the late Pakistani dictator General Zia-ul-Haq, the father of the Taliban movement. So, which is it, Mr. Khan? Is it the Constitution and secularism you support, as you say in your speech, or is it Sharia law, which you have openly supported over and over again since the 1980s in papers and reviews published for public consumption? And how about that wall? Khan implied Trump's wall is a bad thing. He also implied Trump has no empathy. He didn't imply it, he said it outright. Well, is the wall such a bad thing for the 80% of Central American women who are raped trying to cross the southern border illegally? That's right. A horrifying study by Fusion, reported in the Huffington Post, reveals that yes, 80% of women are raped. 8 in 10 women are raped. Only 20% of women get past the southern border without being raped. So maybe, just maybe, by severely ending, or at least severely limiting illegal immigration, we can prevent thousands and thousands of women from being raped per year. Where's Khan's empathy for these women? The lives and mental well-being of Central American women, well, that doesn't matter. And finally, Khan's poor wife. Khan says Trump should have some empathy because his wife was sick, and she even thought she might fall off the stage. So it's Trump's fault for noticing this, not the man who forced his sick wife to stand on the stage as he made charge after charge and exploited their son, a war hero's death, for political gain. He admitted to forcing her to stand there as he exploited her son's death. You must assemble yourself. This is not, to me, how a reasonable husband in the United States speaks to his wife. And let's consider Trump's charge about radical Islamic terrorism. Remember, he said you have to look at radical Islamic terrorism. From the 1980s until 2001, 4,685 people were killed as a result of radical Islamic terrorist attacks, and over 13,500 were injured in the same time. From 2001 to 2009, another 821 were killed, and at least 2,897 were injured. And from 2010 to 2014, over 5,114 people were killed, and at least 22,473 were injured. You can see the trend. In total, from the 1980s through 2014, over 13,000 people have died and 38,000 people have been injured as a result of radical Islamic terrorist attacks. And you may be one of the people saying, Tom, all religions are violent. Talk about Christian terrorism. Okay. In the same time frame, there were about 1,070 deaths caused by radical Christian terrorism. Less than 1,100 compared to over 13,000. And the worst part, Patricia Smith, the mother of one of the victims of the Benghazi terrorist attack, spoke passionately at the Republican National Convention. And the dishonest media has been almost completely silent on her complaints against Hillary. She was on Fox News once, CNN briefly interviewed her. She had some light coverage. From Breitbart and the Media Research Center, this is the coverage discrepancy between the two parents of fallen soldiers. Coverage of Pat Smith. ABC, 13 seconds. CBS, 3 seconds. NBC, 54 seconds. Total, 1 minute and 10 seconds. And the coverage of Khizr Khan, 14 minutes, 21 seconds. CBS, 9 minutes, 13 seconds. NBC, 31 minutes, 39 seconds. Total, 55 minutes, 13 seconds. Now, it's important to remember, though, the dishonest media has no bias. It's all just another right-wing conspiracy.